super professional in using my phone again, except I'm gonna prop it up on a portable oh, fuck me. Okay, good enough. I need my hands. Oh, you know what? I probably should have done this before I hit start. There you go. Yay! Okay, sweet. Hi, how was your week? I hope it was better than mine. I don't have COVID, but I'm recovering from my ear infection and sinus infection, so I sound gross, but whatever, we're gonna power through. I cleaned up cat vomit 5 minutes ago, so that's how my day's going. How's your day going? I feel good. I'm bummed I had to miss my last stream, but it gave me more time to prep for this week, which I'm actually really excited about. I got to attend my home group AA meeting last night via Zoom, and it got me thinking about what it means to be an alcoholic, and that kind of inspired today's stream for qualifications on what it means to be an alcoholic. Also, if you can't hear me, just yell or something. So, being an alcoholic, when I was 21, sometimes I think the first thing people think of when I say the word alcoholic, I'm guessing your first thought is middle-aged, older, hi, older, under the bridge. Oh my god, I love you all so much. Anyway, so alcoholic, older, under the bridge, homeless, and just someone that is dirty and gross and your cliche alcoholic, if you will. You don't imagine 21-year-old in college about to graduate on the dance team, screams the computer, on the dance team, on the research team, friends, working. You don't have this image of what we call a high-functioning alcoholic. It's dirty, homeless, old person on the street. But being an alcoholic can come in all sizes, shapes, forms. And I guess that's kind of the point of the stream, is wanting to kind of break that stigma. And I'm an alcoholic, and I am not a homeless old person under a bridge that you know of. So that's why it took me a long, long time to even be able to say I'm an alcoholic, because I didn't fit that cliche stereotype. And you know what? A lot of people that I meet in AA, they don't meet that stereotype. They are business people. They are teachers. They are family people. They are housewives. They are husbands. They are everyday people that you see, and they look amazing. They look like they have their lives together, and you would never expect that they came from rock bottom. And in AA, I've also met people who were homeless, who were armed bank robbers, legit. They come in all shapes and sizes. I've met 16-year-olds. I've met 71-year-olds getting sober. But anyway, the point is, alcoholics look like just another human. There's no cliche. And I think that's why as a young person it's really hard to accept the fact that you are an alcoholic sometimes, because you don't fit that cliche. And so today what I wanted to talk about is the qualifications. And remember, I am not a professional. I have no qualifications. I have no certifications. I have my degree in psychology, and that means fucking nothing. I didn't go to school for this. This is just based off my personal experience, my interpretations of the reading from AA, and what I've learned over my past 5 years of sobriety. That's it. Not a professional. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I don't really care, okay? This is just my experience. So, basically, what was presented to me, the qualifications, I'm getting it right off the AA. I fucking prepped and everything. It's off the AA.org website, alcoholicsanonymous.org. And they have this page on there called 12 Questions to Ask Yourself. And basically, it's questions to ask yourself. You answer yes or no. And by the end of it, you can decide whether or not you think you're an alcoholic, whether or not you have a drinking problem, whatever. And I just wanted to go through the 12 questions really quickly and answer them from where I was 5 years ago when I started. Because I remember the first time I answered this, and I remember how shocked I was. Because for me, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so the first question, and you could feel free to answer long if you want to. And whatever results you get, don't get mad at me, please. You can grab paper and pen if you want. I don't care. It's online. You can pull it up. AA.org. You can literally just Google "Am I an alcoholic?" AA.org, and there'll be like the first or second page, and you feel free to answer along if you want. So the first question is, have you ever decided to stop drinking for a week or so, but only lasted a couple days? This is a very common thing among alcoholics. It's constant promises, but you can't keep them. I promise I'm going to stop drinking for the next week, and 3 days later you're like, how the fuck did this beer get in my hand? Now imagine doing that over and over and over and over and over. For any normal person, not drinking for a week is not that big of a deal. But for an alcoholic, not being able to go a week is pretty fucking common. So, that's question number 1. 2, do you wish people would mind their own business about drinking and stop telling you what to do? Well, I definitely answered yes to that when I was 21 and just entering the program. I remember hearing things from my housemates. Can you just maybe drink 4 days a week instead of, fucking 7? Or my dad, please don't drink when you go out tonight. Or please don't do this. Or can you please ease up? And I can't tell you how often I heard that. And I kept thinking, what is the big deal? Like, it's none of your business. It's not a big deal. No one's dead yet. And if anyone's gonna die, it's gonna be me. No big deal. Also, I love seeing the answers in the comments because 5 years ago, that was yes and yes for me. Easy. Number 3, have you ever switched from one kind of drink to another, hoping it'll keep you from getting drunk? Alcoholics will go to any lengths to prove to you that they are not alcoholics. I'm not drinking liquor today, I'm just having a little beer, it's fine. Or I'm not having my usual brandy, I'm having a little bit of whiskey today, or whatever. It's amazing the lies people will tell themselves. And it's also insane. Yeah. I did not realize that. This one was actually one I didn't do because I was underage for most of it, so I was not picky. I did not care. Oh, it has alcohol in it? Fucking great. Is it hand sanitizer? Whatever, bottoms up. So that one was like the only one that I could kind of squeak by and say no to. But really, I would just drink whatever I could get my hands on. Beggars can't be choosers. 4, have you had to have an eye-opener upon awakening during the past year? And basically what they mean by that is, do you need a drink to get going in the morning? 5 years ago, there were days where I remember waking up shaking and just feeling like, oh my god, okay, I just need a little sip of something and I'll be okay. Just a little sip. It didn't happen often for me, and I remember trying to squeak by and say no, but even if I had said no, I still would have qualified. So number 5, do you envy those that can drink without getting into trouble? Oh my god, all the fucking time. I'll admit, even now, 5 years later, sometimes I look at people who just have a casual drink, and I look at them and think, how do you do that? I can't do that. I can't just have one drink. I have never been able to do that. And I know for people that aren't alcoholics, you're probably sitting there going, what are you talking about? It's not hard. But as an alcoholic, that is hard. I have never left a drink half finished at a table for anybody. I have finished everybody else's drink every single time before I got sober, because the thought of leaving a drink untouched was unfathomable to me. And that is how insane my thinking was around drinking. And it's hard to comprehend when you're not an alcoholic. It's like having OCD and you bump something with your left elbow and you really need to bump it with your right. You fucking can't move until you do it. That's the only comparison I can think of that makes sense. That compulsion is the only thing I can think of that even semi-matches. I know it's not the same. They're completely different things. But just imagine that need to, like, touch that thing with your right elbow after you bump it with your left. It's kind of like that. You literally don't want to do anything else until you get it. It's awful. 6. Have you had problems due to drinking within the past year? When I was 21, yes, I was fresh out of the hospital. Fucking yes. I had been reported at school. I'd missed so many classes. Oh my god. And 7, has drinking caused a problem at home? Oh Lord, had it ever. My housemates were getting so tired of my drunken ass getting dumped on the doorstep by strangers all the time. Just drunk out of my mind, and them kind of like, okay, into the bathroom. If you're gonna puke, which I never did, but if you're gonna puke, toilet's over there, go to bed, whatever. But yeah, one of my housemates still will not talk to me to this day. That is how much resentment I caused. I have luckily been able to make amends to 2 of my housemates who lived with me at the time, and they are both amazing people, and I owe them everything. But I caused a lot of problems. I was loud, I was disturbing, I was breaking rules on campus, and that meant getting them in trouble too. Luckily, they didn't get in trouble, but I was basically incriminating them with me. So, 8. Do you ever try to get extra drinks at a party because you don't get enough? So things like pre-gaming, post-gaming, I don't know, whatever people do. But I remember going to parties and, like, you show up already tipsy just in case there's not enough booze, and then you drink a shit ton at the party just in case everybody else drank it first, and then afterwards maybe go get a few more just in case you still want to feel a little something. I remember that feeling, like this fear that you're gonna run out and there has to be more. There has to be more. Because if I don't reach that blackout, I'm gonna remember this night, and I don't want to fucking remember this night. And that fear and desperation of not having enough, something that most normal people don't deal with. 9. Do you tell yourself you can stop at any time you want to, even though you keep getting drunk when you don't mean to? Yeah. And I remember when I first left the hospital after leaving Suicide Watch, I remember telling my dad and telling everybody, yeah, I'm gonna stop drinking, it's fine. Within like 2 days, I had a beer in my hand. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I'll stop drinking. Now it's out of my system. And I remember driving home one day, and I remember thinking back to the party I went to, and just like, how did I end up drinking? I don't remember how it ended up in my hand, but it fucking was in my hand. And then I went to like 3 bars that night, and that was actually my last drink. It was March 5th, 2016, 5 years ago. And I remember driving home, and in AA, I remembered the first meeting I'd ever gone to. For some reason, there was a wisdom stock, and they talked about alcohol being an allergy. And it didn't make sense to me. I was like, it's not pollen, I'm not sneezing, this doesn't make sense, I don't need an EpiPen. But I remember trying to drive home and couldn't pull into my driveway because I physically felt like I need to go get alcohol. And I know my dad hid his away and he's not going to give it to me. And I remember pulling over literally across the street from my house and calling my dad and saying, my hands are shaking. I said I wasn't going to drink, but I got drunk, like 2 days ago, and I don't even know how, and I feel like I'm going to do it again, and I can't stop. And I remember my mouth watering, and it was the weirdest sensation, and that was probably the first instant where it clicked, and I went, maybe I do have a problem. And I thought that about myself, because I felt like I was out of control. I felt like I couldn't stop. I felt like I needed to go get that drink, even though I made all these promises. It was the weirdest sensation, and I ended up driving my ass back to another AA meeting and sitting there thinking, I wanted to go to 7-Eleven and grab a 6-pack, but instead I'm sitting here because I felt like I had no control. Fucking, what is wrong with me? It was the weirdest thing. And that's something that people that are not alcoholics won't understand, and I don't expect you to, and that's okay. Um, but yeah, that was, I still remember that moment. Also, I'm sorry there's like a sick basket for all my tissues from me being sick this week. 10. Have you missed work or school because of drinking? Ooh, way too much. 11. Do you have blackouts? Literally every time I drank, from the time I was about 14, 15 until 21. Every time. There was no just nice buzz for me. It was, I drink to black out. I don't care what is going into my body. I'm blacking out. Why? I don't know. I just thought that was how you were supposed to drink. I didn't understand the concept of just casually drinking. I still don't quite understand it to this day. And I think that's why in AA they always say if you relapse, you go back to where you were. Because just because I'm sober, it does not mean my brain has reverted to normal thinking around drinking. I look at these questions and it's very easy for me to just say, yeah, I would go right back to this. I would still get fucked immediately. There's no gradual easing back into being an alcoholic. You are an alcoholic. You're just in recovery or you're drinking. One or the other. Or you're dry as fuck and you're miserable, which is not great. Been there, done that. Okay, sorry. Number 12. Have you felt like your life would be better if you stopped drinking? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? This one, I remember saying no because I just didn't want to fucking admit it. But, ever since I stopped drinking, I can remember everything I did. I take accountability in whatever I do. Life is so much better. So, looking back, I remember the moment I said, no, life is great. I love being drunk. What are you talking about? But now, so much denial. So those are the 12 questions. Went through them kind of quickly, but I don't want to talk your ear off for too long. But the AA website says, if you answered yes 4 or more times, consider AA. You might have trouble with alcohol. Why? Because this has been true for thousands of our members over the last, I think AA's been around since like 50 something, like over 50, 60 years. But only you know if AA is for you. And I think that's probably my favorite thing about AA. No one is going to sit there and be like, you're an alcoholic, you have a problem. You go to AA, you answer the questions, you decide whether or not you stay. No one's going to sit there and be like, this is what you need to do, this is what you da-da-da-da-da. No. Yes, there are some bigots and assholes in there. There are in every single fucking group. But usually, I hear people talk about their experience, their strength, their help, what they did to get better. And the rest was up to me. No one said, you have to do these things. They said, here's what I did to get sober. If you want to get sober, call me. If not, I don't care. You do you. Like, your life is not my responsibility, and I respected that. And I love that. And no one, and it even says so on the AA website, we do not promise to solve your problems. All we can do is help you not have your first drink. And not having your first drink means you don't have your 10th drink. We help you stay sober today, which means you don't get drunk today. And if we can help you do that 2-3 days in a row, that means you were sober for 3 days in a row. And that's pretty fucking amazing. And for a lot of people I've met in AA, that's a huge fucking deal. For me, when I first started, just coming to grips with the fact that yes, I am an alcoholic was insane. Because again, I'm only 21. I'm young. Like, I have all my teeth. I look great. I'm fit. I go to the gym. I exercise. I'm smart. I have my future. What the fuck? But again, alcoholism does not care how old you are. It does not care what gender you are. It does not care what stage of life you're in. Doesn't matter. It'll strike anytime, anywhere, no matter what you're doing. And it doesn't really matter how invincible you think you are. In AA, they talk a lot about how for alcoholics, you either end up in an institution, like me, in the hospital, jail, or the grave. And otherwise, you can get sober, and that's really it. I mean, you can be dry your whole life, but most of those people end up committing suicide, unfortunately, because they get so miserable. And I've seen that happen time and time again. I've seen people go back to jail. Like, the first friend I met in Spokane in the sober community ended up going back to jail. One of my good friends OD'd after being sober for like 8 months, and I've known multiple people go back to rehab, back to the hospital, and I've also had amazing friends stay sober the whole time. I've seen people that are dry too, and those people don't look happy. And I'm really lucky that I did not end up in jail. I'm lucky that I did not end up dead. And I'm lucky that I am not living this dry, miserable life. I'm lucky that I ended up in a hospital, because for me at 21, that was the best place to be. And if I hadn't had that wake-up call, that serious consequence of being kicked out of school, God knows if I would have learned my lesson. And if I hadn't started going to AA, I never would have learned that an alcoholic looks more than just like the cliche I had in my head. It looks like anybody from anywhere at any time doing anything. And I guess that's a huge reason why I wanted to do this stream, is mental health and sobriety. And I'm talking a lot about sobriety the next few weeks, just because I had 5 years on March 5th. So this month is kind of all about sobriety. And that's why I want to talk about the 12 qualifications, because maybe they're not what people thought. It's not just, oh, I drink like this. It's also the mindset behind it. I think a lot of these questions target the way you think about alcohol, your relationship with it, how you drink, and how you respond. And I didn't realize that my relationship with it wasn't healthy, but there's also a fine line between heavy drinker and alcoholic. There's people who are heavy, heavy, heavy drinkers who are told your liver's gonna fucking explode if you don't stop. And they hear that, and that's enough, and they stop, and they're okay, and they don't need help. And then there's people who are alcoholics, what they call true alcoholics, who hear that same thing, they say they'll stop, and then 2 days later they're back at it because they can't. And it's a really fine line, and again, it's for that person to distinguish. I'm not an expert. All I know is that for me, this is what I've learned. I answered my questions and determined that I'm an alcoholic. I learned that at 21, and even though I've been sober for 5 years, I am still an alcoholic, and I know that relapse can get me any day at any time, which is why I still go to AA meetings, which is why I still talk about sobriety, which is why I still actively try to stay sober and do these things that I've learned and practice coping skills. And I think the stream will be really cool in keeping me accountable. So those are really the 12, that's really all I want to talk about, was just the qualifications of being an alcoholic. Only you know. If you're mad at me because you answered yes, sorry, but not really sorry. The AA.org website has plenty of information. They have phone numbers and stuff. Lots of great people. Happy to talk about anything, anytime. I don't have the phone number right off the hand, but it's literally AA.org. And also, I wanted to say thank you to my friend Caleb from North Carolina for donating to National Alliance of Mental Health in my name, because that organization means a lot to me. They've been doing walks for about 16 years now. 16 years as of last year. They do 5K every year to raise awareness for mental health, depression, anxiety, and that's an organization that means a lot to me. And he texted me this morning, and I got an email saying that he made a donation in my name. So thank you, Caleb. That means a lot to me. That's an organization that I'm very proud to support, and I subscribe to their emails and keep up on that regularly. So yeah, that's my stream this week. Thanks for tuning in for my third stream. I think next week will probably be, I was thinking about starting like talking about the 12 steps and doing like step 1, 2, and like every week, and then talking about my experience with it. It might change. We'll see. I'm just kind of winging it as I go. I feel like we're just all kind of gathered in my bedroom chatting. I'm cool with that. So, we'll see. So, I'll be back next Wednesday, usual time, 6 p.m., unless I fucking get sick again and die, but I don't know how how to make announcements on Twitch, so I post it on Discord and I post it on Facebook. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a great night. And yeah, I still don't have a fancy closing, so insert fancy closing here. Have a good week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Ah, fuck. Ah, shit.